And what's going on, guys?
Hello,
It's Sire here.
everybody.
Oh
My
my
name
god. Shut the fuck up. What's going on, guys? It's Sire here. And today we are back with our guy who almost died last week from being sick with every damn disease known to man. He had hepatitis C, he had hepatitis B, he had hepatitis A, he had corona, he had ear infections, he had it all. He had the flu. This motherfucker Dom Costa and his girlfriend.
I was sick.
And
I was. It wasn't good. It was not good at all.
this motherfucker came
I
up with
was
a
more dead than you were.
Yeah, I mean that's true. She was way more sick than I was. I mean, I was not sick. It wasn't like I couldn't do anything, but she's also really over dramatic when she gets sick and like just stays in bed all day and doesn't do anything.
Got you. I feel that. I know all women that do that.
We're off to a good start. Alright, guys, my name
Alright.
is Hopalong
No,
Starfish.
shut up.
aka
No, I
Ellie.
didn't.
You can see it on the screen right there.
No,
You're gonna put something right here, okay?
no, I'm not putting anything right
Alright.
there. No.
So I'm glad you guys are alive for the podcast today, because today we're going to be talking about something that's not very controversial. Take it away, Sire. Is that how you say your name?
Yeah, God damn.
Alright,
Okay,
alright, okay.
that was Ellie. Okay, Ellie is an asshole. You'll get that one. Okay, so I'm gonna be solving a Rubik's cube while we do that. No, I'm joking. Okay, basically,
Okay, well, what are we talking about today?
God
Do you have any
damn,
topics, or just gonna...
dog, shut up. God damn, let me host my podcast. Jesus Christ.
Devin, we've been doing this for 45 minutes. I'm getting a little antsy, bro. Okay, continue.
All right, listen. What we're talking about today is shout out to my grandmother. I love you, Nana. I see you watching every week. Guess what? This week's episode is on systematic racism. Racism in general. I had to make sure that the algorithm couldn't hear me. That robot can't even hear what I'm saying right now. Listen, if it's not sensual seduction, then I don't want it. Basically, let's talk about it. So, reason why I picked Dom for this week, because, you know, he finally recovered from being sick. From being sick. Meanwhile, he was dying. He's black-ish, kinda. He's mixed with a bunch of races. That motherfucker, his parents were getting a little busy back in the day, let me tell you something. And then,
Yeah.
and then Andrew's pretty Caucasian. And then we have Ellie, who we all know is
I'm black. Yep. I'm just living my truth, man.
we're gonna get canceled.
Dude, I was already canceled. I'm the, like, you can't kill me. I'm like a cockroach. Alright, so.
It's such a bad thing to compare yourself to.
Dude,
Like,
dude, I'm okay. Dude, I can say the most racially insensitive things, and I still don't get canceled. That's pretty nice.
I think that in and of itself could get you canceled just from that statement.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Why do us as the black community do not accept Ellie into the black guild? We do
I got
not.
kicked out of the black community.
She's not invited to the cookout, bro.
She's not invited to the cookout. She's not coming to it.
That's one of the dumbest things ever. Just TikToks to cookout. I can't even.
See,
But let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Papa John not invited to the cookout.
Papa John is not invited to the cookout.
Okay.
Papa John be on the phone all day long talking that
You see-
smack.
Okay, now let's actually get into the podcast subjects today. Goddamn. All right. Racism. Given
Alright.
the fact that given the fact that we are a mix of people here, that would make it a little easier to decipher what's racism and what's not, I guess, huh? Basically, what I want to talk about is this new. It's weird that we just started talking about racism, like right as that lady just shot that guy with her taser.
What happened?
Whoopsie, whoops, dude.
Remember the
My
cop?
safety's off, dude.
The cop that just shot
Dude.
the cop that just shot the black dude.
Mhm.
Huh?
Wasn't his name Dwight or something like that?
I don't know. I could be wrong. It could be a black or a white dude, but I'm pretty sure it was a black dude. But the lady shot a soldier a black soldier just got like completely disrespected and dragged out of his car.
Oh yeah, I saw
My bad.
that one. That one I was just watching.
Yeah, he was in his car and he got dragged up by the cops and like yelled at him.
Yeah,
and put on the
and
ground.
over to when he was popping gas.
Yep.
He was popping gas, I think.
Yep. They tried to pull him over like up to like a little bit down the road, and it was like unsafe to pull over, so he pulled into the gas station.
He went to the gas station.
Yeah, and he was sitting there, and then he started all that shit. And then the other video came out where that guy was that soldier was yelling at some like an African American guy who was just walking through the neighborhood and was supposedly causing trouble. But then you also have the riots that are going on, and like all the new like stuff going on with the lady that mistaked her gun for a taser.
Yeah.
They always mistake something.
Oh, that's
For-
oh.
Every cop.
I didn't.
So the thing is with the taser and the gun, your gun is on your dominant side. And she had been professionally trained. She had been in this whole thing for 26 years. 26 years of experience. There's no way that's a mistake. And she's like, oh, I shot him. Uh-oh. And you could tell, like, she was saying that because...
Bro, I've held a taser before and I've held a Glock, and they don't even weigh
like,
it.
no, they don't.
Like, neither even weigh similar.
So police guns have safeties on them as well, right? They don't just automatically not have the safety on, do they?
Nope.
Right. They're supposed to have it on at all times. That's just
Exactly.
in general.
You had to make sure you had it on. You were grabbing at your right side. You obviously know that what your right from your left. You've been doing this for 26 years. And then you go and you have to take the safety off, and then you have to aim and you have to shoot. There's one thing between being trigger happy and then just straight up, knowing what you're doing. Like actually just.
Exactly.
It's so.
And it makes all the other cops around this, like, around the whole situation, all the other cops now have to deal with her mistake, right?
Right, and like, the cops that are out there that are actually like trying to do their job the correct way are now reaping the consequences of the fact of this one dumbass cop that decided that she was going to make an excuse instead of just owning up to the fact that she grabbed her gun and she shot him out of the fact of what her adrenaline. I don't care, but like, don't lie and say.
Exactly, you can't.
There's no way she could say it was her adrenaline that caused it. Like,
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying too. Is like there's a
you've been trained to do that. If you can't handle that much pressure, an adrenaline rush, then you should not be a cop.
No, it's not like a joke or like I feel like they're literal teenagers that like just think that cops just drive around, pull people over, give them tickets, and eat free donuts all day. And like, dude, you do know that they get into like gunfights. Like, it's a dangerous job. Like, I don't talk down. Like, I'm not gonna say that cops aren't important or that they don't do a good job when they're doing their job correctly. They do, but I shouldn't have to be afraid like to drive my car because I may turn and not have a turning signal on, and then I die.
Right?
Driving and putting a turning signal on. It goes from a driving infraction to me getting carried out into an ambulance.
Exactly.
Like, for what? It all gets escalated. And a lot of the times, too, I have to say, because I'm not going to play it as the cop is always the aggressor. I've seen many videos of any race of people or any color of people. They're just instigating. They're instigating. They're not listening to what the cop is saying at all. The cop's clearly telling them to do something, and they're not doing it. And that's just making the situation even worse. Like, you should know by now, with all of this going on, that you should just listen. They don't care. A lot of them don't care. They think they are the law, judge, and executioner. What is it? Judge, jury, and executioner. They think they all three at once. A lot of them do. And it's not just a few bad apples. That's a complete understatement. There is a lot of police around in this nation that think that they can do whatever they want because they are the law, and they're not. But you have to play to their ego. You're not getting one up by not listening. You're just ensuring that you're going to die. You're ensuring that you're going to give them a reason to shoot you, and then nobody's going to listen to your side when they try to get out, because they're all going to point to the fact that you weren't listening. So it's 50-50. I mean, the cop definitely has to be controlling a lot of the situation because that's their job. Like, we aren't trained to deal with police officers. Police officers are trained to deal with us. That's the whole point. I'm not trained at birth to deal with police. I shouldn't have to be. I shouldn't have to know what to do and what not to do when I get pulled over because, I gotta be extra secure because the guy with a bulletproof vest on that's standing outside of my car and the other dude that's with a bulletproof vest on the other side of the car that both have guns, that even if I say I have a legal concealed carry, if I go grab anything at that point after telling them, I'm screwed. Like, I can't. I'm going to tell them to search me. I'm like, you get it. Get my wallet. I'm not reaching for it at all. Grab my wallet and check it yourself. And I'm not about to reach for anything in this car until you get your hand off the gun or until you just search my car. I don't care. I don't care at all. Like, I'm not gonna reach for it. I'm not. If I already feel like this situation is hostile and I haven't even rolled down the fucking window, I'm not reaching for anything. My hands are staying on the steering wheel, and I don't care how nicely they ask. I'm not. If I don't feel the vibe is right, then that's already not gonna work in my favor. So I'm already gonna make them do their job. I'm not gonna make their job any easier on their part in terms of doing it for them. Like, they want to see my license and registration, they can grab it from me. I'm not going to fight them about it, but I'm also not going to go reach it myself.
That gives them an excuse to kill you, right? I mean, we're not trained as civilians. We're not supposed to be the ones that are trained to handle civilians, right? We're not supposed to be able to handle cops. We're not supposed to be the ones that can handle being under gun pressure and not go in like those tight situations. We're not trained to do that. Like, me and you, we walk around and we're just chilling, right? We're not trained to just anyone that comes up to us with a gun, aiming at us, or like tight situation where we're like, something's going on, we have to stop a criminal. We're not trained to handle that.
Right. It's crazy. It's intense to have a gun held at you because you don't know what the person on the other side of that is planning.
But like, then you have like, I don't know, you have like the cops that are doing their job, that are helping out their community, and they're like upstanding citizens. Now they're dealing with all these repercussions that other people are doing, but that's the whole thing, right? We have to talk. We straight into the cop violence stuff, but that's like just a weird tangent that we started going into racism at the same time this is all going on. That's why we brought that up. But let's talk about racism at hand itself, right? Now, my thought is this, right? I have been an African American my entire life, right? No issue with that. Haven't really decided to not be an African American. It's just kind of been the thing, right? Been the normal.
Yeah, ways.
Right? And I don't really have any other option but to be African American, so I can't really complain. So, given the fact that I am blessed with being African American, I have to deal with all the repercussions, such as I have a less of a chance of winning any court case that I go into. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
I have a highly likelihood of being pulled over because of my race. I've had that happen before where I was driving normally. It was past I was 17 at the time. I was past my curfew, which was fine. And in PA, where I was at, I got pulled over at like it was like Memorial Day or something, like some random ass holiday, and basically I get pulled over. The cop comes over to the car, and he's like, "Oh well, let me see your license and registration." Blah 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 blah. He goes, "Oh well, you know what time it is, right? Like you're past curfew." I'm like, "Yeah, normally like I go back home after someone pulls me over. Like it's not that big of a deal. Like I'm trying to get back to my house now. Like we were at a drive-in movie theater." Tell me why this motherfucker. Okay, he goes. I think it was a bald white dude. He looked at me. He goes, "Well, you should have planned to like be home by curfew. Like you shouldn't have been out this late. This and that." I'm like, "Well, we wanted to go to a drive-in theater, so you're not gonna watch a drive-in movie at daytime, are you?"
Yeah.
When it's not dark.
Like it's legitimately 7:23 and it's still bright outside.
Yeah, like it's gonna be dark it's gonna be dark when it's late. Like we're trying to see a drive-in movie.
That's the whole point,
right? So he's like, he didn't have any rebuttal to that because he knew he felt dumb. He was like, "Yeah, I guess you're right. Guess you don't go to drive-in theaters in the daytime." And then he was like, "Oh well, since you said that you like normally do this all the time, like, you're not able to drive your car home tonight. Leave it in that parking lot over there. I'm like, bruh, come on. I'm like, I'm not able to drive my car home for what? Like, he was like, if I see you, then you're getting pulled over. I'm taking your car home on a tow truck. Like, blah, blah, blah. Just, like, abusing power. I'm like, dude, you could have just let me go home. There's people that are driving drunk. What do you
They
want?
really, like, towed your car. So
I'm
you
on
really
a
got-
podcast. What do you want? I don't have butter. What do you want?
I just want you to witness how somebody talks to me because they're.
What do you want, Sydney?
She said she's in Miami right now. She was calling to see if you wanted to catch a flight, and here you are talking bad to your mother. Now it's just wrong.
How is her, bro? Never mind. I ain't gonna say nothing. Get out!
Look up.
Do a room tour when I'm done in here. Goodness gracious. Where was I? These motherfuckers don't know how to knock. You knock on the door, they're like, oh yeah, he's not doing anything. He doesn't have a life. No bother.
Oh, don't. He'd just be walking in the middle of everything.
But no. Like, I think this is a black person thing. That's why is it like your dad did the same thing a second ago.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm even black, and he's walking. Like, this is his office. This isn't my room. So like, I'm not. I can't get mad for him walking into his own office. Like, if it was my room, I'd be annoyed. But it's not, so I can't really get pissed about it.
But yeah, I think this all kind of ties in nicely with the whole social media narrative and how people can pick and choose what they see and they can exacerbate it by crazy levels. So if you see somebody, like a police officer that is doing something wrong, you can either completely ignore it or blow it up. And I don't think people realize how much power that actually has. And this leads into like the topic of cancel culture and that whole thing. And I'd like to hear you guys' opinions on that.
oof. Okay. Cancel culture. I mean, cancer culture. That is the worst thing ever. That is so. Basically, that whole idea of you see something, we don't like it, cancel it, right? I mean, that's good in the way of getting rid of people that are doing bad things, right? Like we have had people from different walks of life canceling like the idea of other people, right? Like we're getting to the point of, hey, that person did something wrong. We're getting to the point of, hey, that person did something wrong. We don't like it. Get them out of here.
We're going to kick them out of society completely. We're going to completely ostracise them from
No
ever
more
trying
money
getting a
coming
job
in.
again.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. And then we have these nameless, faceless, well, not nameless, but these faceless corporations like Facebook and stuff that have the ability to drive the narrative. And I'm all for, private companies being able to do what they want. But how far is too far when we have people like, Facebook, Twitter, all these social media companies that can drive the narrative with it's a complete power imbalance from, it's crazy.
It's funny.
Yeah, but yeah.
So when it comes down to social media, they do get to control what we see. They can delete whatever account they want, and everyone's like, "Oh, First Amendment, this, and that." You actually lose that when you sign those terms of service. It's their platform; they can control what goes on there, what's not on there. That's not up to you.
Exactly.
Like,
so
you can. Go ahead.
And it's undeniable that sort of influence has, it has real world application to stuff like elections or, who gets persecuted for certain things. And it comes to a point where how much is, too much? How much power are we going to let these companies have, regardless of what you agree with or with whether or not private companies should be able to run their own private company? It's just a complete, when it has that much control over, the American government. It's insane.
Yep.
I mean, it's almost like you don't really have you don't have like options in terms of like when you sometimes when you're getting harassed and maybe if your following isn't as big, not as much on Instagram. I will have to say that Instagram definitely like is on their shit a lot of the times. Like I myself have like flagged shit that I saw. I was like, yo, I don't know like what the fuck I'm just watching, but that probably not, like, I can imagine my brother seeing that, and I wouldn't want him to fucking see that, like, at all. Like, there's just no need for it to be even on Instagram, like, where they know that there are children on there that can see it, like, and it's on there as sensitive content. All you have to do is click OK, like, and then shoot the video anyway. It doesn't ask for your age, like, it's just warning you, and like, it could be anything now. It could just be like a guy swearing a lot, or it could be a guy getting his head cut off. I mean, like, it could legit be anything. So I don't really know, like, what the moderation is on certain things for certain websites, but it definitely needs to be upped a lot on certain things.
See, I think the exact opposite, actually. I think that they control the narrative too much in a sense of political, because I think they focus all of their, the moderation and all that stuff to politics and, more controversial topics other than that of actual, gore and just completely inappropriate things.
I think they do that just so they can get
more interaction.
They want more attention towards
that. They want more attention.
So they get more attention towards that. It creates a whole big problem, and then everyone wants to join in because everybody else does.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy.
Everyone else joins in, and you have a different opinion, you feel left out because everyone, like, if you have, like, a big group that's towards something and you're just this one person by yourself, everyone's staring at you because you have a different opinion.
It goes back to the whole cancel culture thing, yeah.
If you have your own opinion, I mean, you have your own opinion. Why? I mean, I think it's more of this generation now, like, not necessarily, like, ours, but most 18-year-olds or 19-year-olds in our generation, I think, are special snowflakes. They don't know how to handle sensitivity, so they want to pin it on something else. Let me just, put it towards this, but let me blame this, so we should cancel it because everyone else agrees.
And then when you don't agree with that, you get condemned and you get socially ostracized for having a different opinion. And then they dramatize it so much to the point where it's like, oh, you're sexist, homophobic, and racist if you don't agree with this one opinion. And it's crazy.
Yeah.
If you're not completely on this side of the political compass, then you are a horrible person and you need to be condemned from society. And it's asinine. These companies have too much say in the narrative that is being driven. The media, the big corporations, and then even it has too much of an influence on people to the point where we're all just having to go along and feed into this cancel culture where if you don't agree with something, then, I can just basically, completely ruin your life. It's ridiculous.
I think it's all about politics.
It's all
about politics. That's what everyone wants to blame it on. Is the government or what side you're on or whatever, because it was always about politics. Ever since politics became a thing, being a Republican or a Democratic, ever since that became a thing, it has always been that. And it's not going to change. It's never going to change. And I mean, like, now I think it's starting to change, but this whole, like, cancel culture thing is, like, absolutely crazy. That's not what we need to cancel. What we need to cancel is the fact that it's wrong. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right. Everyone wants to
exactly.
Together into one thing, and it's not just that one thing. It's a whole different, like, it's a whole different spectrum. Like, it's this, it's that, it's something else, it's everything. It's just not one thing.
People want social and economic problems to be black and white so they can easily fit into a category of a morality category of being right or wrong. And then social media just completely exacerbates that to the point of no return, and it's a serious crack in the American infrastructure, because once we get this infiltration of just information overload and this narrative-driven, bias, then it is a serious problem that we're going to have to deal with. We're going to have to face the repercussions for our actions, because you can't go back from, dividing people up this much, because it's almost 80 million Americans voting for Biden, and then, almost 80 million Americans voting for Trump. It's like, it's so, it's very polarizing, and there's just a huge divide. And like you mentioned, the two-party system, we have just this crazy divide that's only it's not being improved at all by the social or economic problems that we have going on today. And it's really, really sad to see this play out, especially when you can't do anything about it.
It will never change. No matter how hard all of us try, it will never change.
There's only two political parties if you really think about it.
It's not going to change until there's a civil war. It's not going to change until there's another one, until it just resets itself and they fight. Because humans habitually only ever get things actually done and actually do when they fight for it.
Exactly.
They always end up having to fight at the end of the day to be able to win, because that other side is never going to shut the fuck up unless they lose, and that other side isn't going to shut the fuck up unless they lose. So one of them has to win, and it has to stay like that. But at the same time, you can't do that with certain things like politics, because you can't just have one side dictate everything, because then that's worse. It doesn't matter what side it is; it can't be everything, because then there's no balance. Then only half of the Americans get everything they want, and the other half are just sitting there like, well, what am I supposed to do? You just took everything. And then the other side, if the other side won, it would just be the opposite. It wouldn't change anything. So we can't fight that. We can't fight that. We have to figure that out. There's going to have to be some type of conclusion and some type of middle point that we are going to have to reach, like, as a nation, because it's either that or it's going to break and there's going to be a war inside.
There's never going to be a middle point. Like, not everyone, like me, I'm a Republican, but would I ever, like, disagree with a Democratic? Sure, on some things, because I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can at least understand where they're coming from. That's what it is, understanding where the other person is coming from.
Yes, I was just going to make that point, actually.
Then we wouldn't have these problems. But no, everyone wants to think that their opinion is right, and that's the only opinion that matters. We learned in English in middle school, an opinion is just your side of the story. It's not a fact. It's not the like.
It's just something you strongly believe in.
Yeah, it's not.
That's it.
It's not.
Doesn't make it right or wrong. It just makes it your opinion.
And that's what everyone wants to believe, is that their opinion is right and everybody else's is wrong, and it's not. It's not how an opinion works. The last time I checked,
I always used to think that, honestly, like when I think of someone giving like an opinion in general, it's almost like giving an opinion that you're trying to, like, change someone's mind, persuade them in. It's almost like an opinion is like a loaded gun you don't want pointed at you, because in this day and age, it's like if you have an opinion on anything, you're wrong.
Yeah. If your opinion does not agree with the mass, then you're not in the right.
Yeah, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're an idiot, and it's like, and everybody shrugs it off unless the masses believe that opinion. If we could get half the country tomorrow to believe that the sky was fucking purple, the other half would sooner or later start believing that it was purple. Would it be purple? No, it'd be blue, but it wouldn't matter because half the Americans thought that it was purple. So everybody's just gonna.
Because everyone just wants to.
It's like 100 monkey syndrome. It's like 100 monkey syndrome. They did a test on an island. They got 100 monkeys to do something, and the rest of the island, after like a month, they were all doing it. They all just picked up on it. It's just the
monkey do.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What do you guys think we should do about harmful ideas like racism, sexism, homophobia, xenophobia, all of those things? How do you think, would there ever be a set solution, and how could we get those people to start thinking in a more morally correct way? I hate to say that, but it's like how would you guys get that? How would you convince them to think otherwise?
Honestly, I don't think there is any.
You're not convincing them. It's just something cool.
Yeah, like that's something that they're taught.
I can't change a racist person's mind just because I start throwing facts at them. Like, you have to sit down and have a conversation, and the whole world can't sit down and have a conversation.
And you have to do this. You have to do it in baby steps. If we're gonna make a change, what we have to do is we have to come from a place of love and empathy. You have to approach the racist, the bigot, the person that has a very hateful heart, and you have to do so in a open and loving way, not with like a hateful, oh, I'm going to condemn you if you don't agree with me. Instead, you have to approach them with, showing them love.
There's certain points where that doesn't work. I mean, there was many protests. Like I can think of. There's a Netflix documentary that was back in like 2017, and it was obviously white supremacist protest and Black Lives Matter protest, and these white supremacists are outside with their Confederate flags and like loaded AR-15s, and they are blocking the road for the Black Lives Matter group to continue their protest that wasn't bothering anybody, and nobody had any fucking guns, but these white supremacists come into their house and they block the road. And then there is actual video of a guy in a Camaro plowing through people, just running them over. There was like 2 people that died that day and like 7 that got injured from getting ran over, and they weren't doing anything. They had no firearms. There was nobody there that was getting rowdy, and they came out of their homes and blocked the entire thing, and there's cops seen up the road staring and doing fucking nothing. As they see this car run through people, that's when they come down to disperse whatever is happening.
Now, do you think if that person, right, when they were a child, let's say, do you think that if they had been taught otherwise with love and compassion, not to treat people that way, that they would have done that situation wouldn't have happened?
Honestly, I think it depends on the person. Like, I really believe it depends on the person, because me, the way that I grew up, my mom, she's really something else. I mean, she says that she's not racist, she says she's not homophobic, she's not this and that. And because, 1, I have Mexican cousins, 2, I have a half and half baby cousin, and then I have a gay uncle. She believes that since she has those things running through her family, that she's not this and that. But the minute that I got together with him, it completely changed. She thought that he was a bad guy, that she thought that I was gonna get, manipulated and abused and stuff like this, only because of my grandma and the stuff that she had seen, because my aunt.
And then do you think that if your grandma had been treated with love and compassion, this would have been a completely different story?
If my grandma treated my mom differently, that would probably change. And I think it would also be different if my aunt got treated differently, because she didn't really have the best taste in men, and she still doesn't.
Yeah.
And if those things change, she would see things differently. But at the same time, my mom is a strong-headed person, so when her opinion is set, her opinion is set. And I mean, I try my hardest to change her mind about literally everything in this world, because, I mean, it's not that her opinion is wrong, but I just want her to look at it a different way. Because there's not just one way to this road. It's multiple. But she believes it's one way, and that's it. And it's not.
But I think that if we all just treated each other a little gentler, and with empathy, and we put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, that these problems wouldn't be so crazy, and we wouldn't see them at this insane level like we are right now. I mean, the world hasn't ever changed. It's always been, awful. But at the same time, I feel like if we just had a little more, compassion towards one another, these problems wouldn't be so, as big as they are right now.
Okay.
I wanted to see, I was going to ask you what you thought about this.
Okay, let me say this. This can either answer what you're gonna say there, but this is also gonna help guide the idea, right? Look, in this world, everyone wants to have an opinion. That's why we have democracies where we can vote, because we want to have a voice, right? And that's why we have people that go to protest, right? The people that go into protest, they're protesting. Then you have people that don't agree with the protest, but they want to be heard, so they're going to go and disrupt the protest so they can be proving their point. If we all just shut the fuck up, did what we had to do, and let everyone else live their truth, then we would not have any issues. Want to know why?
Yeah, like if we all just live our lives separately and just leave everybody else alone, everything would be great.
Exactly.
The world wouldn't be the way that it is.
Everybody's business 24 fucking 7.
Everyone wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
Leave them alone. They're not bothering you.
Like,
leave.
Who I am is not affecting any of you guys.
Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It might be affecting someone else just because, I don't know, I dye my hair every other month or I wear glasses. Like, I'm sorry, I can't see well. Like, I don't know how that's affecting you.
That's gonna bother other people.
Okay.
And everyone wants to have an opinion on something, right? But then you also got to think of the idea of racism and the idea of literally anything. It comes from this point of Tyler the Creator put it best. This is kind of how I see it, and this is what I agree with the most. He said that if you saw a pit bull, imagine you see a pit bull on TV, and that pit bull is attacking people all the time. You always see this pit bull is attacking stuff. This pit bull attacked this person, killed a child. This and that. This pit bull did this. This pit bull did that. Right? You always see all this horrible narrative of how pit bulls are and this and that. Right? Wouldn't next time you saw a pit bull, you'd be like, wait a minute. I just saw that pit bull just got done destroying the whole family and this and that, and completely destroyed a town and ate and bit a human and this and that. You're gonna be afraid of it, right? That's what the idea of racism comes from, is that point of like, oh, we see on the news, we see all these stereotypes, we see all these other people are saying, oh yeah, they do this all the time. Oh, they do this all the time. We don't like that. That's a bad thing. We don't want to see them doing that.
About social media.
And social media, it does the same thing.
Yeah. On social media, so everyone can see it, so they can form their opinion about it. And then once everyone has their opinion about it, that's when it starts causing problems, because everyone wants to share their voice all at once, and one side doesn't agree with the other. And you know what? Whatever. You have your opinion. Fantastic. Good for you. I'm glad your mind works. But, like, shush.
Right.
Nobody cares.
All right, I have another question. Do you guys think that humans, like the actual true root of all of these social issues, everything wrong with the world, is that humans are inherently evil?
No.
I think that you don't think so.
I think it just involves history.
I think it honestly just involves the scenarios that people go through as they grow up, and sometimes they just crack, and something just happens, and there's a scenario. It was just the last fucking straw for their brain to handle. They couldn't take it. That's why there's people that are psychopaths. It's not like it was their fault that happened. It happened, and it made them turn into somebody that they didn't recognize anymore. And I feel bad for racist people that grew up and were taught that from their family members. That wasn't even fair. They didn't even get a fair start to believe in what they wanted. Their parents just planted that seed in them from the very get-go that whatever race they didn't like, they shouldn't like. And they should like it for these reasons, even though they haven't experienced any of that yet. They're an infant. They have no fucking idea. They don't see color. They don't. Infants, babies, they don't see anything like that. They don't.
No.
They don't care.
So,
they don't get it.
Before we have us. I put this. So, do you think that the very first person ever, do you think that they were inherently bad? That's what I'm kind of getting back to.
Look, here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'll say. It goes to the point of like you have a person that is over there and over here, and then they look at that group, they look at this group, and it's whatever, right? They're gonna disagree and they're gonna fight, and then that's what creates whatever. Race does not exist. There's no such thing as a race. We're all the same. We're all human. That's all that matters, right?
We all have 206 bones, and the same blood runs through all of us.
Exactly. We're not any different. Only thing that's different is how we evolved to what our society was at. Like the people down in Africa, they evolved to best suit their survival, like what they had to use to survive. People over in Europe, they had evolved into whatever the hell. Like it all makes whatever needs to happen, right? But we're all the same. Charles Darwin created that idea of survival of the fittest. Everyone's different races and that stuff like that. But that doesn't make any sense. But we want to look
Darwin, like that man.
We want to look.
I don't even know what his problem was.
When you look at the idea of all people are inherently evil, what separates a saint from a sinner? All it separates.
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So this
literally,
is the idea.
Literally goes into, yeah.
So as a Christian, right? I would think that humans are inherently evil because we've all been tarnished by sin, right? And then that translates into this cycle of hatred within our families, within our schools, within our communities. And so that's how I would look at it. And I can see where you guys are coming from with your guys' viewpoints.
Here's the thing, right?
But then it gets into the...
When we look at, I'm gonna go back to the sin point. I'm gonna drop something in there. If you're sinning, right? Sins are very much wishy-washy. Wanna know why? They don't really have any sort of like, this is right, this is wrong. People bend those to whatever their needs are need to be met.
People bend those, but if you're looking at it from a biblical standpoint, they aren't wishy-washy. Sins are very clear as to what is right and what is wrong. It's people that bend those.
And not to disagree with you, because I grew up as a Christian. I was a Christian for most of my life. I would never go up to a person and say,
condemn them.
Like, I would never go to a church like the church that I used to go to, and if one of them that I never knew came up to me and were like, "Are you Christian?" I would be like, "No. No." Do I have my beliefs? Yes. Am I religious? Absolutely not. Because for my mind, the way that I think, it's just an ideology. It's just this person made up this book, and some people believe it because that's what they want to believe in. And if that's what they want to believe in, fine. Now, the whole idea about sinning, I get from your standpoint because that's how I grew up. It's not a wishy-washy thing. There are certain sins that you can't commit because of you're going to hell. It's that simple. If you commit this, you're going to hell, and that's that. Now,
I hate to interrupt you, but it's like, I think sin isn't what sends you to hell, not knowing Jesus Christ sends you to hell. And that's what my thing is. I understand where you guys are coming from, but I think it ties in nicely to the idea that when we don't have these conversations, it's impossible to ever, and when somebody has a differing viewpoint and we don't condemn them, then it's a lot easier to have these conversations. But continue.
I think, so if you go and look at it from, when I say like, oh yeah, they're wishy-washy, what I'm saying isn't that, oh yeah, I think this way so I can do whatever. No, what I'm saying is, when you look at it, right, when in the Bible they preach that everyone is made in God's image, right?
No, men are made in God's image, and the woman
you get
the idea, yeah.
Man meaning all things created by God, and then they, whatever else. And they preach that they're all the same, right? But why does racism exist then? If we're all made the same.
What are you talking?
So the KKK.
Because people are inherently evil.
No.
Because if we go back to the idea of people are tarnished.
What's the difference between the saint and the sinner? That's all I'm gonna say. The only thing that separates them is a good reason. That's the only thing that makes them different.
I see where he's coming from. Like, sin is inherently, it's evil because according to the Bible, when Eve decided to eat that forbidden fruit that she wasn't supposed to eat because of the fact God said, look, don't eat this, you eat this, something happens. I can't remember the whole freaking story because I learned it how many years ago, and I don't remember anything that well. The minute she ate that apple, sin took over her. Well, and that's where
Adam ate the apple too.
Where everything comes from is Adam and Eve. And the minute that
that story Adam and Eve. My bad, I didn't mean to cut you. But the story Adam and Eve was really just to kind of. I feel like that story itself was just to make it seem like women tempt men into committing sin.
No. It was more like Adam was with him. Adam was with her. Adam was with her when they're going to eat this fruit. They were there. It was a mutual agreement, basically, to eat this and commit the first sin.
Well,
I always thought it was differently. No.
If you read the Bible, it's not sexist or racist or homophobic, and that's what people I think get misconstrued. But I'm not trying to
they tilt the Bible to what they need to be.
Yes, exactly. They put it through. They warp the Bible and they warp the words of Christ, and they warp it to fit their false narrative and to fit it into their sinful ideologies, and it's absolutely crazy. And as somebody who feels very obviously very fervently about this, it's crazy upsetting. So no wonder people get so upset when they're being attacked for their race or how they live. It's crazy. And if people would just take a minute to sit and listen to the other side, then these problems wouldn't be so bad. But
no, Anthony, I see where you're coming from when you said the sin is like wishy-washy, because of the fact
that everyone changes to fit their own narrative, and that's what.
Well, not because of that, but like the church that I used to grow up in.
They were against gays, right? I would assume.
It's the people in my church would bend the rules and find a loophole to not get in trouble for it.
When you base your faith in that of people, and we have to like shut off from what these people are saying, because people, like I said, if we're gonna go from my point of view, they're inherently evil. The only thing you can trust is the word of God, because this is directly from God, and He's giving it. This is His word, right? And so this is the only thing that we can trust. We can't trust these other people and listen to them. And when they say, "Oh, well, you're going to hell," and like, okay, unless this lines up with the Bible, you have no authority to say that.
Okay, here's my thought, right? Given the fact that your belief is that all people are inherently evil, right? Who wrote the Bible, right?
I can tell you this.
Person, right?
We don't
have a direct connection straight to God.
Not anymore. There has been, well, it's really hard to say, but there were multiple people who wrote the Bible. All of that of which have had interactions with God. He's given them this word. You can have an actual relationship with God, and He does answer. And I think that's really interesting, and people fail to point out I feel like people really highlight, when it comes to Christianity, hate, which is not what it's about, and they focus on sin and going to hell. And okay, you can continue.
Okay, my bad. My thing is, right, you say it's because it was written by multiple people. It's every chapter came from someone else's point of view from what God said to them, right? But that idea of, it came from this person saying this, right? How do we know that that person, at least one of those stories, is valid?
Because it's the word of God, and you have to start with an open mind. Now, here's what is really interesting.
But that's what I mean.
The Bible has proven time and time again to be the most reliable source of scripture. The Quran contradicts itself. The Bible doesn't contradict itself. I can tell you about the Quran, but here's what it comes into is, over the course of all this time, the Bible is all prophetic. The Old Testament points to Christ. The New Testament reveals Christ. Every single part of the Bible is about Christ, and it all is prophetic and very the Bible is very historically accurate as well, if you want to look at it from a factual point of view, and as like archaeological dig sites and that sort of stuff. So if you want to know how it didn't get messed up over the course of...
I think it also depends on the person, if you're looking for the facts or if you're just looking for something else.
See, and this people...
That's why, like, science and religion back then were, like, such a big thing, and it still is. Because some people are looking for the facts. Well, if you look at the Bible, like, if some people look at the Bible, like, I wouldn't say necessarily me, I don't know what power is parting the Red Sea, but, like, I don't think it's any power except, like, some kind of tsunami or, like, tornado.
So you have that, and you have to...
Like, a lot of people... when it comes to religion, are very hesitant because I think they're looking for the facts. They're not
looking for the facts, but they don't realize that the Bible and God can go hand in hand to some degree, right? And if you don't approach it with an open mind, or you don't take the time, I feel like a lot of people don't take the time to actually contemplate what happens after death, or how life is really utterly fascinating, and how it would be. I would hate for all of this, like, to live all of this life and experience all of these wonderful things for it to be nothing, right? And so I feel like if you really ponder, and you ponder how really intricate the world is, that you can it begins to open up more than new doors to that, and you can, I don't know, I feel like most people, you have to approach religion and that sort of thing with an open mind, but while, not just basing it off of, faith, that you can actually find some logical progression in it and stuff like that.
That also goes kind of, I don't don't want to say bad, but like if someone's pushing religion on you,
you want to force away from that.
Open mind when I'm like, hey, so Jesus this and God that, and put about Josiah. You gotta believe. Like that's not correct. So how are I think that's another thing is some Christians will push. They don't take baby steps. A lot of people that I know didn't put my mom didn't decide to say, let's take baby steps into religion when she decided to marry my stepfather. It was Jesus this, Jesus that, and that's it.
And it's a complete turnoff for religion.
My siblings, and that's where a lot of people have issues because that's what they also believe in. Christians are just pushing religion on you, but most of us, we just want you to look at it differently. We want you to look at life.
I understand
this instead of hey,
you gotta believe this, and I think yes, I understand completely what you're saying. And people, when you have a faith based in people, or if that's how you're going to approach it, if you only trust people instead of reading the Bible and looking into it and praying and furthering your relationship with God, you're setting yourself up for failure. And it's it's impossible. You can't shove things down people's throats. You have to approach it in a congenial and loving manner instead of hate, like most people, I feel like, Christians
that's what I did. When I was younger, it was just all hate because my mom pushed it on me. And then I think around 14 or 15, that's when I really started going to church. And I did it for a while, and then I grew up, had my experiences, and then it's not that I stopped believing because I didn't. It just became, I just thought a lot about, I was more contradicting myself. And even though I was reading the Bible, I'm still over here I don't know. So it's not that I don't believe, but I have a lot of questions. And when I ask those questions, I'm one of those people who I need a straightforward answer. You just can't give me, well, God said this, this, and that. Well, I'm glad he said this, this, and that. But what about this? But that's only because I need a straight answer. I can't just have.
You have to put aside yourself.
Because that's how it is.
If you want me to tell you how you can, if you guys actually would like to look, if you want to look into something like this, you got to put aside yourself and that, that prideful facade that we all have, and you got to just focus on Jesus and being able to be okay with not having all the answers right now. And I think that's an interesting way of, that's how you're supposed to look at it if you're gonna delve into this world of having a relationship with Jesus Christ. It is something that a lot of people don't find or understand because you have to put aside a lot of yourself, a lot of this hate and this, you're putting yourself on a pedestal, and it's easier than said than done, I think, is the best way to put it.
My thought is this. When it comes to religion, people fall out of it all the time. Strictly because something bad happens and they go, whoa, why God, why'd you pick me to have this happen to? Right? Then they fall out of it because they just got done dirty. And they're supposed to be oh, wait, it's all right, God has you. This is that. But why did God let this happen?
Why did God the Bible tells us?
Why did God let all those kids get shot at the school? Why did God let this happen, right? And then people go, oh yeah, he's not real, right?
We're here to suffer. We're not here to suffer, but we're here because the Bible, God allows suffering for whatever reason, for whatever divine reason, that suffering happens. Jesus suffered all throughout his life. The world completely hated him, and he suffered so much. And people ignore that and think that, okay, well, God's not a vending machine for you to ask for something, and he's going to give it to you automatically. You are rewarded for obedience, and he will reward you, but it's not like a vending machine for where you pray for something, it's going to completely change God's mind. Everything has a plan and a purpose, and that's just my belief. And I don't know. Thank you guys for talking with me about this today. Thank you for having me as a guest on the show. How long are we running in? What's the time right now?
We're at 54 minutes.
Awesome. Well, I'm having a great time.
I don't know why. I don't understand how every time we have a episode, we always go from one subject to a complete different. I like how we went.
I love it. I love the progression. I love that.
We go from talking about race and I like how we go from racism to religion. That's all.
We were talking about racism, and then we were talking about politics because racism and politics connect, and then we went from politics to religion because that connects. Because I mean,
it's a core belief. This is something I believe with all my heart and soul, and I don't think that's an integral part of who I am now. And I can see why people get so upset about this stuff, and like I can see why people get so upset about stuff that they cannot change. Like I don't think I could change that part of me from this point on, and it's just no wonder people get so upset about this sort of things. And if we just listen to each other, it'd be a lot easier to see where the other person's coming from and make a difference.
Yeah, and that's all it is listening to each other and growing.
But no one wants to listen.
Nope. Everyone wants to be correct. It's not about who's right, who's wrong, what we all can listen to. Listen, I can disagree with you guys all day right?
But I'm not. It's like
no. Look, I can disagree with everyone here all day because that's easy. That's the easy way around. Is I can disagree with you, and you all day. But what is that gonna do? Nothing. What the real challenge is, and what we all should be doing to challenge ourselves, is looking at it and trying to agree with one another. Not disagree, but agree.
Just get on the same page, or get on the same level of understanding as one another. Put ourselves in the other, the person that we're talking to. Put ourselves in their shoes, and just get a little bit of understanding to where the person's coming from, and just figure it out. Because we're all here to end this together, and I think the way that life is could be a lot better if we just did that.
Exactly. And I'm gonna say this, right? This is gonna be the closing remark of the day. Religion, racism, and the idea of politics all come from the same thing, right? Power. Everyone wants power, right? The idea of racism came from the Catholic Church moving the Bible into making it read and telling the people that read the Bible, hey, this is what it's supposed to mean. They're saying that the African Americans and any race that isn't white are less powerful and have less right than you do. You can own them. You can put them to work. They belong to you, right? That's their idea. That's how they pressed it. Then you have the idea of now you take that power dynamic that was created back then to make racism a thing, and now you put that into politics. Now all these politicians go, hey, that black person over there, we all agree that they suck. How can we get all these people that, a lot of people in the political scene don't agree with this, but they push it because they know that the majority is what they're trying to appeal to. If the majority of people are racist, they want to be racist too. So then that's where racism gets into politics. And that's why now, under the radar, you see all these other countries, all these southern states, right? After Trump was like, fraud on the last election. Now all these different states are now blocking it, so people that are African American, it just on accident, seem to not be able to vote as much now because of what? They are taking the poll times different. They're making all this other stuff different. And it's all because they want power. If we have African Americans getting to the polls, African Americans want this. Well, if the minority gets what they want, then the majority starts to lose. And the majority never wants to lose. And that's just a power dynamic. A larger group of people doesn't want to lose to a smaller group of people. And that's where it all comes to, right? That's how racism, politics, everything, religion goes into there too. We all want to be in one group. Everyone wants to go to heaven, right? The majority of people want to go to heaven. I've never met someone that wants to go, oh, I want to go to hell. That's what sounds cool. Like, they just go to hell.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, come on, you know me.
You definitely say that. You say that all the time. I don't want to go to hell. I'm excited. I'm hyped. I'm hyped to go to hell.
All the time I say I'm going to hell. And honestly, I don't really care. Now, past me would have been like, I'm going to heaven and I care so much. But the stuff that I've been through and how much faith I put into...
And that's where it comes from, right? That's where my point earlier comes back.
And this is where my point earlier comes from, is you can't expect good things to happen to you just because you now have a relationship with Christ.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know.
But no, that also now brings back the point of what makes the difference between a saint and a sinner. A good reason. her reasoning for falling out of the love of Christ and not following all the books, the reading of the Bible and the Scripture, was because she experienced these certain things, right? Same thing for about a million other people that are now don't believe in the Lord and are saved.
It's crazy.
I'm the complete opposite with my mom. Like, I fell in love with Christ.
Yep.
My mom,
because of the reasons around it.
I lost his job, and then she lost her job, and my brother decided to go into the Air Force, and some things decided to happen, and she fell in love with Christ. She started reading the Bible, and she believes that's all she believes in now. And she's like, Ange, have hope, have faith. Well, yeah, I do have hope and faith, but not to the person that you want me to have hope and faith for. I have hope and faith for myself.
Exactly.
And all that pride, I'll keep it.
And that's what I'm talking about, is you can't ever have a relationship with Christ if you don't want to put that part of yourself aside. Which, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I understand how, people can take situations that happen one way or the other. So it's just, yeah, I completely understand about what you guys are talking about today.
Okay.
Very neat.
Well, now that we are at over an hour mark, and Dom, I'm pretty sure you said you had to be done with this by around 8.
Yeah, I mean, it's pulled me over a little bit. It's just.
Yep.
My dad needs a computer for sure.
Yeah, we'll let you guys go. I'm ended here. That was a great conversation. I hope you enjoyed Grandma. We know you watched it all the way through.
Hi, Anthony's grandma. This is the grandma I met, right?
Yes, that is the grandma you met.
Hi, Anthony's grandma. It was nice having you listen to us.
All right. Well.
Yeah, a bunch of quote unquote imbeciles talking about politics and religion.
Now we're going to. That is going to be it for today's Boring Tuesday podcast. That was just another day in the Tuesdays. You know what I mean? Another day in the week. There's another normal conversation for the week.
I'll see you guys from every podcast here on out. I'm the new podcast host. Sorry about that, Anthony.
Oh,
I look forward to seeing you guys every single week for the next 8 years. It's going to be pretty crazy.
Okay.
I
guess Ellie has submitted herself as the new co-host.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Tanner. Sorry.
Damn. She took Tanner's spot.
She's trying to take over.
She's taking over. I guess I'll change the name of I'll make a new banner for this one.
Ellie Show.
No, we're not making it.
AKA Hop Along Starfish.
No.
And you can put plus Sire. I Sire.
No, oh my God. You're not taking over my podcast. This is my podcast. This is going to be how it's going to be. But
alright.
We'll let you co-host. We'll let that slide.
Right.
If you guys like that one, then leave a comment down below. If you guys want to see Ellie here to stay, leave a comment down below. If you want to see Dom come back for all the episodes and not be sick, then leave a comment down below. All right. Well, that has been it for the Boring Tuesday podcast. Like I said before, shout out to my grandma. Shout out to all the people that are racist. Shout out to people that aren't racist. Shout out to the people that are liberal. Shout out to the people with purple hair, green hair, yellow hair. Shout out to all the people on the planet. Shout out to everyone. We all love you. We love you all the same. Guess what, guys? That's been it. That's a wrap. And dinner is ready. All right. All right, guys.
Hey, where your bitch at? Hey, shorty, hit my line like what a dick at. There's a price on my head, come and get that. 100K in a month, bitch, I did that. Yeah, I did that.